Welcome to today's Explainer. Dr. Christophe Delong and Connexa Formation present a really powerful idea. Movement is the ultimate freedom. You know, when you actually stop and listen to that phrase, it hits hard. It's literally the key to staying mobile and, well, keeping our autonomy. Because let's face it, without movement, everything else kind of falls apart. This quote completely sets the stage for what we're talking about today. Movement isn't just some physical act, right? It's a philosophy, it's a science, and it's this incredibly complex language our bodies are speaking every single millisecond. So today, we're doing something really exceptional. We are going to decode that universal language of movement. And the wild thing is, whether you're an Olympic athlete pushing your physical limits to the absolute max, or a corporate executive managing just monumental daily pressure, the rules of biomechanics, they apply to you in the exact same way. It is absolutely fascinating. Okay, let's dive into the roadmap for today. We'll start with Delong and Connexa Vision, then hit the extreme labs, and move into the biomechanics of dance. After that, we'll look at the leader as an athlete, explore Connexa's AI movement corrector, and wrap up with health through movement. Section 1, the Delong and Connexa Vision, or as they call it, Well-Being 3.0. The core philosophy here is really cool. It's the idea that movement is the absolute crossroads of our entire being. I mean, it's never just a bone or a muscle shifting around, right? It's this massive, complex intersection of your neurology, your skeletal structure, and yeah, even your emotions. So, enter Wellness 3.0. Connexa's approach isn't just about drowning us in raw, cold computer data. Instead, it takes that incredibly sharp clinical eye. We're talking about Dr. Delong's 30 years of deep medical expertise and fuses it directly with advanced digital tech. Basically, it's traditional, tried-and-true medical common sense meeting the absolute precision of artificial intelligence. All right, moving on to Section 2, Extreme Labs, where we decode the absolute limits of the body. Now, to really understand everyday movement, we first have to sort of stress test the concept by looking at extreme sports. So, quick question for you. What do you think this massive number 8 is all about? Well, get this. When a figure skater lands a spectacular jump, like a salchow, their body absorbs up to 8 times their own body weight on a single leg. I mean, that is just colossal. By studying these extreme single-leg landings, Connexa can accurately map out exactly what a human joint can actually tolerate before breaking down. Think about an alpine slalom skier for a second. They're flying down the mountain at 80 miles per hour, and their legs are just acting like frantic, independent pistons, right? Hunting for that edge with millimeter precision. But look at their upper body. It remains perfectly, almost weirdly calm, like the mast of a ship in the middle of a crazy storm. In biomechanics, this is called thoracolumbar dissociation. Basically, it's separating the movement of your chest from your lower back. It's a pure, high-speed demonstration of spinal health in action, where the pelvis is just flawlessly managing the transfer of these insane physical forces. Which brings us to Section 3, Dance Biomechanics. We're looking at rhythm as neurology here. Now, what's really interesting here is how this whole dissociation concept works in the famous Cuban motion. When we watch a salsa dancer, we naturally think we're seeing this deliberate, fluid hip swing, right? Actually, wrong. It's kind of a mind bender. It is not a hip movement at all. What you're actually seeing is the purely mechanical and neurological consequence of alternating knee flexion and extension. It's this rapid-fire weight transfer cycle happening in just 300 milliseconds, and it generates constant, minute postural adjustments that are fully regulated by the brain. Honestly, it's just hidden biomechanical perfection. Okay, Section 4, the leader as an athlete. This is where we make our metaphorical pivot. So you might be wondering, why on earth are we talking about skating, skiing, and salsa in a professional context? We'll get ready for a totally fascinating pivot. We're taking these extreme biomechanical lessons and applying them directly to the corporate boardroom. Think about a tennis player suffering from tennis elbow on one hand and an executive in full-blown burnout on the other. Here is the kicker. What destroys the leader exactly like the athlete is almost never one single massive event. No, it's the daily, relentless repetition of poorly absorbed microshocks. It's the sheer inability to absorb continuous pressure that eventually just wears down a tendon, or, in the corporate world, completely wears down your willpower. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. Connexa literally transposes the anatomy of the human spine straight onto the architecture of a company. Think about it. The cervicals up in the neck represent vision and direction. So, a stiff neck, that equals rigid, inflexible leadership.
Then you have the dorsals in the mid-back, which regulate our breathing and handle emotional stress management. And finally, the lumbars, lower down, which are all about transferring physical force. They symbolize pure execution and resilience. Bottom line, a fluid, successful organization is one with a toned, highly resilient spine. Definitely not a tense one.
Let's take the fencer's wrist as an example. It is literally the ultimate biological shock absorber. It takes all the violent, jarring vibrations from the clash of those metal blades just to protect the rest of the arm from injury. Well, in the exact same way, a leader is a shock absorber. A truly healthy leader has to be able to absorb all those strategic microshocks and daily market uncertainties without overreacting. And crucially, they have to do it without transmitting that destructive, anxious vibration all the way down to their teams. So, to combat all this wear and tear, Conexa deploys a highly methodical recovery protocol. And the beauty is, it works for both the human body and the corporate body. Step 1, analyze. You have to map out those areas of mechanical or strategic overload. Step 2, release. You gotta eliminate those systemic tension points that are holding everything back. Step 3 is strengthen, rebuilding the overall balance of forces across the whole system. And finally, step 4, monitor. You prevent relapses through continuous, smart observation. You're not just throwing a Band-Aid on a symptom here, you are literally healing the organization from the inside out.
All right, section 5, the AI movement corrector. Let's look at Conexa's tech. But how do we actually do this on a large scale? Well, this is exactly where Dr. Delong's vision meets the raw power of modern technology. I absolutely love this concept. Conexa acts as what they call the spell checker of movement. Think about when your word processor underlines a misspelled word with that jagged red line. In that exact same way, Conexa's AI observes your movement and instantly spots the biomechanical typo, a slightly bad step, maybe an asymmetrical twist, or some invisible tension. And it flags it for you long before any kind of chronic injury actually sets in. The tech behind this is just remarkable. Using nothing but a simple smartphone video capture, the AI can analyze the insanely complex kinematics of your walk or your daily gestures. It identifies these tiny micro-dysfunctions and detects what's called a kinetic signature. That's basically the unique movement pattern of a future injury just waiting to happen. Then it proposes corrections. It's essentially taking the deep visual expertise of a doctor, multiplying it by the speed of an algorithm, and creating this predictive medicine tool of absolute, undeniable precision. And that leads us into our final section, Section 6, Health Through Movement and the Broader Educational Vision. You see, beyond the elite athletes and the high-powered executives, Conexa actually has a much broader ambition for society as a whole. Movement is fundamentally a public health issue, and tackling that starts with education, right from high school, with a dedicated program. So the crucial point is this: Conexa is absolutely not trying to turn every single teenager into an Olympic skater or some salsa virtuoso. The real goal is to form individuals who simply understand their own bodies from the inside out. It's about returning that mechanical intelligence to our physical structure so that anyone can listen to their body's signals and just move fluidly without pain throughout their entire life. And that brings us to our final thought for today. With every single step you take, every decision you make, every time you sit hunched at your desk or go out to play a sport, your body is writing a story. It's accumulating memories, storing tensions, and absorbing forces. So the real question we have to ask ourselves today is, are you going to just keep suffering from the daily typos of your posture? Or are you ready to let Dr. Christophe Delong's method and Conexa's AI help you proofread, correct, and truly perfect your movement? It is such a fascinating way to rethink our own mechanical freedom. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and we will see you next time.